Hi everybody, my name is Chris Gamboris. I'm the founder and CEO of TurboDirect South Africa. In the mid to late 90s, we were a bunch of friends that were working on cars and we were always looking for ways to try and make them faster. That's how my love for turbochargers was born. At the time, nitrous oxide and normally aspirated engines with camshafts and free flow banana branches, as they were called in the day, were the order of the day. And I was looking for something that was going to turn the performance market on its head. I started TurboDirect in 1996, and it was started off as a little bit of a dibble and dabble in the turbocharger game. We played with compressor wheels and various components, loose components, which we pieced together, and we engineered and machined components to build what we know today as hybrid turbochargers back then, because in those days, you pretty much had a limited offering in terms of diesel engine turbos, which wouldn't work really well on any of the petrol or gasoline driven engines we were playing with. TurboDirect's direct involvement and sponsorship with current record holding machines include a 1,000-meter sprint standing start, 389.5 kilometers an hour, done at ODI by the late Sakkie van Jaarsveld, and a standing start Texas mile, it's 1,609 meters, 406.9 kilometers an hour at Wesselsbron, still stand today. The V8 twin-turbo Mustang, which did a 6-second quarter mile with TurboDirect designed product, is the fastest drag car on African soil today. Those records stand today. Our direct involvement with Garrett and their design and engineering teams over the last 15 years has exposed us to a lot of technical information, which has allowed us to bring our product to the forefront with improvements and design changes which we believe will spool as fast, if not faster, perform as well, if not better, than the leading red box on the market today at an exceptionally attractive price point. I decided to enter the Lemons race, the 24-hour endurance race, because I received a phone call from one of my friends, Harry Nievoet, and he said to me, "Have you heard of that 24-hour endurance race?" I got a brainwave. That's the perfect platform to test the very first prototype of the TurboDirect ball bearing turbocharger. So lots of challenges. I got hold of Gary Law from the Machining Man, and I called in a favor.
Hi, I'm Gary Law. Welcome to the Machining Man and Outlaw Racing. I've been involved in motorsport since the age of 10 years old. I've raced single-seaters, saloon cars, I've raced motorbikes, I've raced enduro racing. So I've been around engines and petrol my whole life. I'm a qualified automotive engineer, and engines being my specialty. I have created a business that has evolved into the manufacture and the construction and customization of vehicles, motorbikes, rocket ships, and all matter of products in between. We are a bespoke company that caters for the custom side of engineering and fabrication. As a CEO of Machining Man, my job entails making tea, deliveries, paying accounts, and overseeing workload. Okay boys, here's the car. So I think let's start off by who's doing what.
I'll start by doing the fuel pumps, get the tank out, put the bulkhead in for the fuel cell, do the wiring for the fuel pumps, all that stuff.
Okay.
I'm
Chris?
going to start off with a turbo manifold,
Okay.
pipes,
Water pipes.
water pipes.
Okay. Sorrel, you're going to get stripping. As you boys know, we've got some rules to abide. We can't go crazy like we normally do. I'm not happy about it, but it is what it is.
Good.
Let's get going.
So Gary's got the team together. Let's get stripping.
So we're modifying the fuel tank. It's been in there a little while. How's it, Justin? How are you, buddy? Yeah, lekker. I'm looking for a fuel tank. We're running the endurance race and I need a tank. So I'm gonna go and get the fuel tank. We've got a fuel tank. Sorrel, come give this thing some attitude. It's been, somebody's jacked the car up and that wheel welder. Eat it.
If something doesn't work, use a hammer. If the hammer doesn't fix it, it's an electrical problem.
I'm gonna make a square frame out of angle iron. The square frame's gonna bolt on, it's gonna bolt on there, 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 and there. So this will sit in the frame. Okay. That's it.
Here we have some AEM fuel pumps, nothing better. I brought you some gifts.
Let's have a look.
After you.
What are these?
So I brought some suspension to Gary, which is obviously an upgrade to what was on the car in OEM format. Oh, you asked for pumps, I bring you pumps. There's some AEM pumps, you wanted two, voila. You want suspension, voila. Gary wasn't happy.
Where's the shocks?
What shocks? The car's got shocks.
Those are old shocks, my man. What are we gonna do with these? What are we gonna run on? Hopes and dreams? Where's the shocks?
What shocks? The car's got shocks.
Those are old shocks, my man. What are we gonna do with these? What are we gonna run on? Hopes and dreams?
Who can we phone? Steve-O.
A man with a plan.
Okay, let's get Steve-O on the blower, Harry on the blower. Let's see who can pull a rabbit out of a hat. These are our hopes and dreams that the man is not happy with. Okay, well, we're calling in a man with a plan, and they will be replaced with new shocks. This is some adjustable suspension. Well, at least the springs and everything else we need to drop the car and obviously take care of some ride height and some settings on the suspension so we can get some decent times. Yeah, here we go. Now we need shocks. What are you doing about pump?
Now we're gonna have to modify. This doesn't fit, so we're gonna have to...
Looks a little bit larger than what this is. You want to give us a measure? Oh, we've got a problem.
We've got a big problem, Chris.
All we need is a machining man plan, and voila, we should be sorted.
All right.
How's the gearbox?
Gearbox is sharp. Back from John's Auto. All new parts. Clutch Zen.
Ooh,
mounted, done.
Great.
Ready to rumble.
Engine mounts.
Thrust bearings on its way. Engine mounting's done. So this gearbox, Chris supplied with a car. He's already had it modified. So obviously what we're doing with this vehicle is it's got a Toyota engine and it's a BMW. So we are modifying the car.
So the engine that came with the vehicle was a Toyota 1JZ. It's a 2.5 litre straight six petrol engine. And it's very well known for being quite a bulletproof engine. A standard bottom end can hold up to 600-700 horsepower easily without any changes.
So because it's a BMW with Toyota parts, So what we've used here is a BMW M3 5-speed gearbox mated onto a Toyota. So Chris had this done. He sent it away and they grafted a Toyota bell housing onto a BMW gearbox. It's going to take some abuse. So it's all been reassembled and back today and ready to rumble. Our next mission is to modify the clutch to fit. So a clutch is an interface between the gearbox and the engine. So the engine's spinning all the time and the car is idling, or it's in neutral. You want to put it into gear, you would push a clutch which disengages the drive between the wheels and the engine. So the next mission is to modify a aftermarket clutch that can take the extra power that we're putting in from the Toyota. So we're going to have to modify that next. It's not going to be a bolt-in. We're going to have to machine some custom parts, but that's what we do here.
Hey everybody, it's a new day, bright and early at the Machining Man. I brought my best mate with me, Armani. He's going to be helping us out today. There's a lot to get done. Let's get to it. Brother man, are you busy making a drawing for the filler?
Yes. So
Cover for the tank.
Yeah.
That is essentially what we are doing, making a nice thick plate that will mount into the top of the tank and it'll have all your fittings on.
Metal union strike in South Africa at the moment. No material available. So we're going to machine the fuel tank center out of this giant chunk, which is a bit of a waste, but we don't have an option. So we're going to make that to the top of the fuel tank filler.
Yeah, can I ask you a question?
Yes.
What are you spending so much time on there, Boot? What are you making?
This is our fuel filler, the fuel top for that tank that we've got supplied. Spending lots of time on this because obviously we don't want a fire hazard. It's a safety issue.
Fuel is good, fire is not. Gary took it upon himself to make a billet fuel cover for the extended range tank. He took forever.
Would you like to burn, Chris? How would that be?
No. Gary, you just carry on with what you're doing, pal.
Right. Don't you think Armani looks so cool?
Okay guys, we've got the stiffener on, bumper on, and we've just tried to do a quick trial fit by hand. We haven't made any brackets or anything, just to see what it looks like. So Chris is going to put some cable ties on there just to keep this cooler in place. You can see that the cooler basically is exposed to the entire front of the car, or the front of the bumper, so we're going to get nice airflow over the cooler. We'll probably go and just make a little incision over here just to open up an extra little bit of air to go onto the front part of the cooler. And that's pretty much where we are. It's going to actually turn out nicely. Where these little pieces are hanging at the bottom over here, we're going to basically get some brackets. And obviously I think the cooler will sit a little bit higher, but these pipes are the right width for them to basically get into the engine bay, up and connect to the turbo, and on the other side obviously up and connecting to the throttle body. So looking good, things are coming together. The intercooler didn't fit, so we got the hammer out. We had to make some adjustments, but we didn't use the hammer.
Okay, so you know what you've got to do? You've got to cut this up a little bit higher so the cooler can sit further forward. Because it's got that other little piece.
It's got to go here as well.
Oh no! Oh no!
Taking the engine out.
We had to take the engine out again.
We need to mount the clutch, get that assembly sorted out, connect it to the gearbox, marry the gearbox to the motor, and then drop the motor back in.
From here until the tip of the
that's right.
so we can work out the distances there and make sure that the clutch has got enough. There's like 90, quarter 99.
98 and a half.
That was?
63. There's 2 mil difference. This is the clutch we're using, all right? That clutch is installed on a flywheel, which I've machined at Turbodirect. That flywheel and clutch has been mated together, and it is an Ace racing clutch. It's a triple pack clutch. Now, what happens is these small 7¼ inch clutches, unless you get the position of your thrust bearing and the contact onto the fingers right, the clutch will get very, very hard. So what we're doing is we're trying to work out, first of all, we're going to be using a bearing over here, which has got a smaller diameter. So when it mates onto the fingers, it's quite close to the inside edge of those fingers to try and give us more leverage and soften the pedal. So what we need to do is, because there's an additional bearing going on top of the thrust bearing, we need to just measure the distances to make sure that the spigot shaft, this shaft over here, is actually going to make contact with the clutch and the actual splines inside the clutch. So we need to measure the height of this. In order to do that, we've got to assemble the slave cylinder, the fork, and the whole clutch assembly. So that's what we're doing right now. So basically what you find is there is 3 of these plates sitting in that pack. They have a spline on. The shaft that's sticking out of the gearbox looks exactly the same as this. That's got to be, let me show it to you from this side. That's got to be lined up, which it is, and then it's got to be slid on. So it's quite a tight fit. It's not extremely tight, but it is a bit of a tight fit. And then there's a bearing that runs on the inside of this, behind the clutch, inside of the actual engine block. Well, not on the engine block, but on the flywheel. So that also has to line up and press in as well.
How's it?
How are you? Nick, how are you?
Welcome. So how's our car? This is the latecomer. You know, he's chasing us up about the car. You brought stickers. We can sign right.
You can polish a turd with these, I'm sure.
Well, there's the turd. Let's polish it.
I'm Steve Clark from No Sweat Racing. We, been racing all my life basically, and well, it was a hobby, became a job for me about 25 years ago.
Anybody raced at Red Star?
No.
Okay, so
I believe it's quite tight.
You've been there? Yeah. I've been there too, on track days, but I've never raced on the track. Okay, guys, so turbo, final units, I need to do some engineering with. We need to know what sort of response we need. We need to know what sort of RPM we're going to be in, approximately around one of the slowest corners at Red Star, in whatever gear we're going to be. I'm assuming it's going to be in second gear, unless there are first gear turns, so that I can do the necessary grinds, clearance, machining, and choice of AR, of turbine housing, so that I can put together something that's going to be giving you or us the right response without overpowering the tires and without running short on power up top. So
Can you give some sort of estimate on what you guys think engine RPM, where we're going to be sitting on the track?
We're going to need something that spools
Quick.
pretty early. We also don't need to make 1 million horsepower, you know.
Sure.
We've got road tyres and
I think the issue is as well, the car is a diesel, so it's got long ratios. It's a short track, so you need something that will be maybe in second or third for most of the track. So we need it's actually got it's a tough job for the turbo because we need something that spools quick and you try and stay in one gear. So it's quite an ask of a turbo.
Also remember, you've got 1,000 meters straight. So we're going to get into fourth. I don't think we'll get out of fourth gear. We're going to be doing high speed down that back straight.
What we're going to do here today is go over further on from the interview that myself, Steve and Gary had about the discussion as to what sort of AR turbine housing, spec components, etc. that we're going to be using internally to the turbocharger for this race.
All right, guys, manifolds on, turbos here. We've machined a little V-band adapter. Chris, if you can maybe just sort the inside of that out so we can port it to the inlet of the turbine housing.
Seconds a lap slower, which is a lot. The cam belt disappeared. That's not supposed to be like that.